a space there and manufacture our products. We keep everything Norwegian from A to Z until we receive orders from our US customers. And also, on these ingredients, we have 2 exclusive American companies. So being in New York is also beneficial for the company, of course, because you have the closeness to the market.
We were talking in a couple of the previous sessions about the cultural differences around the world. Norway, America. Norway selling to American customers. Are there any differences?
Well, on the business side there is, but in general, and this has actually been a very nice development within the cosmetic field. What used to be what I tend to call a cowboy approach to the market within the cosmetic world has now become a very scientific approach. So for the products themselves, you need to have high science behind your products, supporting your products. But of course, the business culture is different, and it's not been straightforward, but somehow we have succeeded, and we are very happy with where we are now.
So how would the business culture differ then? Norway or Northern Europe versus America?
I could just add to that and say, I would say that I think Norwegians has been quite internally focused, at least up to now, and I think as marine biotechnology is a growing field and a growing business also in Norway, just now we are starting to focus as a global focus actually for the businesses. But up to now, I think Norway has been quite internally focused on their business development.
I totally agree with Eirik. That also on the business side, what is very different is Americans have a very direct approach to the market. It's very aggressive. This is not a style that we're used to in Northern Europe. We're very careful, so it's been a learning process for a very small company originating from Bergen in Norway to establish this relationship and to grow the business.
If you look forward now, and we were talking a little bit earlier this morning, where do you see the key opportunities going forward for your business?
Sure. So our base of the company is marine. It's derived from the salmon industry. We like to keep our DNA intact, so we want to keep the future of the company within the marine field. Now, we've sort of exhausted our opportunities within our own technology because we have out-licensed to 2 American customers our own technology. So how we're going to grow the company is by in-licensing technology from other companies and other research organizations. And this is why also it's so great to come here to BioMarine, where all the peers within the biomarine industry meet. There's high science, there's business, and a really great crowd. And we hope to go out of this meeting with some new business opportunities.
And that's a challenge. And so therefore, how difficult is it to secure an in-licensing partner?
Very good question. It's definitely not straightforward. I joined the company back in March of 2013, and since then, I think I counted. I've evaluated about 3 technologies a day on average, and we're now left with a handful that are really interesting to take to market. We have not succeeded in landing those agreements yet. We are constantly working on this, and we're constantly reviewing also new technologies. But the major issue that we have seen is in sourcing. So there's so many great things going on within the industry, so many interesting prospects that you could take to market, but unless you can manufacture it, you have nothing to sell. And this is a fast-moving industry, and at least I'm talking now within the cosmetic field. Once we push the button, once we're ready to launch a product, we basically cover 80% of the market measured in value. And that could, if you really succeed, be a huge volume that you need to support, send out to your customers.
And how global is that in-licensing opportunity? Are you mainly focused on Norwegian companies, or are you looking much, much further afield?
Now, so the cosmetic field, and I'm sure you know this applies to most industries and sectors. It's a global focus, and you need to have a global focus. Again, focusing on the cosmetic, you can have a company based in Germany, for instance. They use a third party to collect their new technologies via a company in Belgium. So only there you have 3 countries working on the same type of technologies. And this German company may sell to Asia. So this is truly global. You need to have a global approach. And this is what we do as well. When we review the potential in licensing candidates, we have our check sheet. And we need to check everyone before we go to market, because that's how you create a commercial value, true commercial value.
Aside from having that check sheet completed, what are the other challenges and obstacles you face converting a potential in-licensing partner into a real in-licensing partner?
Also a great question. I think, back to my point on how this industry has changed to the better, in basing products on high science. I think I've had many discussions here today and in previous BioMarine meetings as well, and it all comes back to the same. If you don't have your own company with a big sales force, you need to have allies out there that do the selling for you. These allies needs to be very, very highly skilled in order to sell your products. So we have spent a lot of time to secure distributors across the globe that have this high science knowledge and can talk the talk, if you will, when they meet their customers. So that's key point number 1. Key point number 2, never forget your customer. And our customer is primarily the distributor. Once we hit the button, you need to follow them. You need to help them. You need to hold their hands. So we do train-the-trainer sessions. We go out to customers with them to help those initial sales, and eventually they will be self-driven.
You're a scientist. You've got a strong science background.
That's my background.
How easy is it to convert people who are scientists into commercial, sales, marketing-focused, driving individuals?
I would say it depends on which kind of company or organization you meet. You have the hard scientists that only see their own nitty-gritty details, and then you have to take a big burden yourself in order to translate that into a marketing message. Again, rooting back to the cosmetic field, this is a field of emotions, romance. You have to create a story on top of high science. So you have to have that ability to translate something that is truly unique, high science, very complex, into a sellable story.
Thank you very much indeed, Espen. Turning now to Eirik, which is a different spin on what Espen was talking about, where you're very much at that key interface between commercialization and ideas. Perhaps you could just tell the audience about what your organization does and how you manage that interface.
The Arctic Biodiscovery Center is a quite newly established organization. We work with the biggest Norwegian institutions that are active in biodiscovery, and then I talk about bioactive compounds. So the University of Tromsø is one of them, and also the Applied Research Institutes. It's good to hear that, that they are looking for in-licensing opportunities. So what we are doing is we are promoting the public-private partnerships. So we are looking to bring into commercial partners to work with our researchers. So we have a lot of basic research and also applied research that we need partnerships. So we are open to new partnerships. And we have, in the last 8 years, we have a lot of investments into, I would say, a bioactivity discovery pipeline. So we control a pipeline from actually research vessels that go out to the sea to collect new organisms, and we have screening facilities that can screen for a lot of different biochemical and cellular assays to find activities towards anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory compounds, and so on. So pharmaceutical segment is one of them. Also we have projects within cosmeceuticals and nutraceuticals. So we are in the phase now where we are actively pursuing new partnerships.
And those partnerships, where are they coming from typically? Is this within Norway or coming from outside?
Well, historically they've been coming from Norway. It's quite internally focused, and one of our ambitions is also to create jobs in Norway. That's important too. But of course, when you look, for instance, for pharmaceutical development, we are looking for international partners. And the marine biotech is an international field of business, so we are looking for international partners to do this. So we are approaching any partner that we find is best for each of the specific projects.
As far as I'm aware, there are a number of organizations in Norway trying to bridge this interface between public and private. How do you manage those relationships with the other organizations who are trying to perform a similar function to you?
Well, we are collaborating quite closely with many of them. Typically, they have the tech transfer offices, but they are mainly focusing on, let's say, some kind of product that they are only going to out-license. We will work much more closely with the partners to actually bring them into close collaboration with the scientists. I've used to work with the tech transfer office for the late few years, and I was head of the tech transfer office in northern Norway, and we had a lot of problems actually with out-licensing of technology, because it's very hard to, let's say, this old system of throw over the wall the license where you don't have a previous partnership. So we see that the most productive way of working with the industry is actually to have a close collaboration from the start, where the industry knows about the projects that you are developing, and it can also give feedback based on, for instance, regulatory aspects and so on. So you know that your project meets the criteria of the industry from early on.
And if I could just comment on that, Eirik, it's that's one of the things that we do see for us as well when we evaluate new technologies, that a lot of companies, in our perspective, take things too far before they try to commercialize. They invest too much money before commercial partners are included in discussions. And if we have had to turn away a lot of potential customers and partners because the price of the product that they can sell to us becomes too high. So if we as a commercial partner to a research facility or whatever come in at an early stage, we can create value at an early stage that can go back into further development of that technology. So I think that's also a key learning from the commercial side, that we would like to come in and discuss opportunities with you guys, with the researchers, with the potential out-licensors at a much earlier stage than we are doing now.
And that was from the commercial side. From your organization's perspective, how do you support that process? So Espen was saying coming in early, getting involved early, manage expectations and cost. How do you support that process?
Well, we are working very actively now with the companies to bring them in to actually do the co-development and the sitting steering committees, for instance, for the projects, so we can bring in that, let's say, business insight into the research. It's very, very important. We also see that the researchers are very happy to have this kind of input from industry, because it makes their applied research very relevant. So we only see this as a win-win situation.
What successes are you achieving now?
Excuse me, what?
What successes are you achieving now? You're a relatively young organization, but you know, are you seeing projects now moving through to a successful conclusion?
Yeah, well, as an organization, we have just started, so we don't have any success yet to call for, but we have initiated a very interesting collaboration with the Max Planck Lead Discovery Center in Germany. So we have a co-development of a new pharmaceutical compound. So that's very interesting for us. We are very complementary in what you are doing. We are focusing on marine natural products, and they are focusing mainly on, let's say, classical low molecular pharmaceutical development. So we are working together with them to progress this specific project. We also have a very interesting project within microalgae, where we are building a pilot plant together with a ferrosilicium production plant in northern Norway. So we have access to carbon dioxide for food for the algae and cheap energy.
And if this question for both of you, if this happens the way that you want it to happen, how do you think the industry will look in Norway in 5 years' time?
Well, we will be very happy to work with companies like Aqua Biotechnology here to bring products further on. I mean, if you put a lot of effort into this applied research and a lot of money which you have done in Norway, we should really look into actually putting effort into promoting this kind of relationship so you can bring products further. I think there's a huge potential within this industry. It will only grow. In Norway, for sure, there is a switch from let's say oil to the new industries, and there will be, I believe there will be huge investments within this sector also to promote the new green sustainable businesses.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eirik, and I think the future can look very great. I think other speakers here today have mentioned that there are, of course, some regulatory issues that needs to be taken care of. That is basically out of our control. We can always contribute if we're invited to contribute within the regulatory field. But having commercial partners at a very early stage coming into projects will also give funding to future projects, and this will just make the industry bloom even more than we are seeing now, I think.
And final question is, I'm assuming that at a governmental level within Norway, this is a strategic initiative which is being driven from the center, from Oslo.
Yeah, I mean, there has been actually put in a huge investments as just for, let's say, the Tromsø community where we are based. The latest years there have been put in just for this bioactivity discovery pipeline about 200 million Norwegian kroner, 20 million pounds. There's a lot of investments put into this, and we really need to see that created into new projects and new jobs in Norway, because it's a huge interest in replacing oil jobs with the new economy jobs.
And also from the governmental side, Aqua Biotechnology is a company that really has benefited from our structure, if you will. I mean, Innovation Norway, the Research Council of Norway, all of these are important factors in growing your company. And there's opportunities for companies to also take advantage in the starting phase of a company if you have a startup. So I think we have a very good platform in Norway, also from the governmental side. Yeah, I think the future looks bright from here.
That's good. And it's probably by no coincidence that next year BioMarine is going to be in Oslo, which is probably testimony to the work and the effort that's coming at a strategic level within Norway and led by the government. Thank you very much indeed, both of you.
Thank you,
you.
Michael.